we are not going to look back and analyze what went wrong or what went right. We're going to look at the future and see how that can be engaged in and ensure that everyone here goes back with opportunities. With nearly 28 power CEOs across that table, and the one man who's helped build this forum, I think we're going to be out here with some big ideas and take them forward. This morning before I got in and we got the logistics through, Amitabh Taneja, the man who constructed this event, he and I were having a chat. And he said, you know, when two people with $100 each try and meet each other and talk about it, one person is really engaged in getting the other man's business. So your $100 would either go to the other CEO or his $100 would come to you. But if the two of you have two ideas, then the two people don't go back, at least one richer than the other. Both go back enriched with ideas. You don't lose your money, you gain ideas. So I think with one thought on that front, we'll begin having a conversation with Amitabh Taneja, who is the constructor of this mega event in the heart of the Middle East and understanding the future of retail in the region, and then take it from there with introductions of all our special guests. Amitabh, I'll give it to you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Retail Middle East CEOs Conclave. And I'm really proud to have all of you here. And I think some of my best friends and good friends and some of the greatest retailers of Middle East are here. The idea purely is to really get all minds together and really look at the way retail is going to change. I was just telling Shelley in the morning that the consumer is not changing, he's changed. And I think all of us need to be ready for this new changing consumer and the changed consumer. Retail of the future is, we used to earlier say that let's open stores where the consumer is. Let's go to the locations where the consumer is. I think today the consumer is all over, and I think technology has made it really possible for all of us to really go to the consumer where he is, the way we used to say it earlier. So I believe a lot of people call it the technology, the way retail is happening in the future will change or kill retail. I think it's going to enhance retail, and I think it's a really better way of doing retail. It's just a facilitator, it's a catalyst to retail growth. And I think we should all use this as a catalyst for our businesses, rather than some outsider from technology background comes in and really creates new big retail, which is not from traditional retail. I think all of us know retail better, and lots of new guys from the technology side also. We should really use technology to facilitate retail growth. And that's the whole agenda, and I thought it was important to really have some friends and guests who should share their ideas and visions, and they've been watching what's happening globally. So we are very proud to have Patrick Bakey, Global Head of SAP, with us. He's just flown in yesterday from the US, and he'll share some ideas. We have Wasim from Google, Head of Retail MENA, who's going to share some ideas, amazing, interesting ideas. And I was really fascinated what he showed me last year, and that's why I requested him to really share some numbers with you, what's happening in MENA in terms of the consumer. We have Mark from Zebra Technologies who's with us, great experience on retail. He's going to share some ideas on mobile technologies and what's happening on mobility in retail. So welcome once again, and I hope you have a great conference. Just to give you an update, we finished the CEO's Conclave is just with us, and 1 o'clock we finished this. We have lunch. The conference starts at 2 o'clock. You must read the agenda outside. Some very interesting sessions. And I was just talking to a friend of mine from the retail industry. I don't have any other friends. He said, Amitabh, this conference agenda could happen right now in New York, London, Middle East, China, Singapore, Australia, India, anywhere. Because this is the topic of retail today. So all that you see in the next 2 days is what retail is going through, and I think we are proud to share it with you. Please enjoy the conference. Today evening we have the celebration of retail. We celebrate achievements in retail at 7 p.m. That's the Retail Middle East Awards. I hope all of you can join us. Thank you and welcome once again. Thank you. Shelley, over to you.
Thank you, Amitabh. And with that applaud, we formally kick off this conference. We're going to start having introductions at this stage, since a lot of you present here around the table need to get to know each other a little better, a little more about your companies as you introduce yourself. And we'll continue that process of introductions throughout the first half of this day at the Conclave. So I'm going to ask you to kick off this introduction. If you could talk about yourself and what you do and what your company represents, and we'll take it ahead. Yeah. And perhaps also give a little perspective on where we are on the retail front, technology-wise, and of course, if you're not in technology, then what your challenges could be.
Okay, my name is Hossam Arab. I'm one of the managing directors at Namshi.com. We are the only online fashion retailer that is solely focused on fashion in the Middle East. We do full price fashion that offers convenience and variety to the consumer. We've been around for just under 3 years, serving the GCC market based in Dubai, with the largest market by a large distance being in Saudi. With regards to changes in the field and what we've seen over the last year, we've seen a very, very rapid movement towards mobile. And by very rapid, we see numbers across the globe with some of the other ventures within the Rocket Internet Group. So Rocket is our key investor. So we see the numbers globally for other fashion retailers. And what we've seen in this market is astounding. So in the beginning of 2013, 25% of our revenues were coming from mobile. Today, it is 70%. 70% is coming from mobile, and this is fashion retail, right? Something that you would expect that the consumer would like to see a bit more detail about, a bit more, bigger pictures, more detail with regards to fashion. But we're seeing that transformation, and it really took us by surprise.
Good morning, my name is Salim Sakur. I'm one of the board members, Sakur Brothers. We are a Portuguese company. We have around 75 stores. Regarding we sell clothes, men's, women, and kids, and we are at this present time in 10 countries. Regarding the online business and technology business, I can tell you my small story. We opened our online business 6 years ago, and we felt that our experience that we were giving to our consumer was bad. So basically what we did, we shut down the store, and now we are reopening again, because we felt that we were not prepared at that time, and we needed more human resources, especially human resources, international people, to help us to guide in this business. So one level. Second level, we are in the process that restyling our stores. And we feel that in the next 12 months, we will have restyling stores where the component of technology will be very high. And we'll have good news on this very soon.
Hi, good morning. My name is Furkan. I'm the MD of a specialty retail industry company called Spread. Spread is a word I coined myself. So basically, I deal with concepts which are novel and impulse buy items. I mainly deal in the common area, and my focus is on concepts which are demo and sale based, which means that you've got to interact with the customer, you've got to buy his attention, and then basically entertain him. And at the end of spending those 5 minutes, he feels he owes something to you, and he's got to buy. And that's what we call retail entrapment. You sort of get his focus and then make him buy something. And in fact, technology-wise, I have a concept which is called Cool Gadgets, which I run from some of the malls over here. And on Cool Gadgets, we actually see on a daily basis how the customer actually is now becoming more and more interactive and more interested in how do they tap into the online market. Basically, whether it's headphones, beats, whether it's iPads, accessories, and all that, the technology industry is becoming more and more apparently needed. We thought that it would be more of like a fashion statement, but the kind of people right now walking around with 2 phones, 3 phones, with iPad, minis, is just unlimited. So the amount of technology is available with those people. So all we've got to do is basically understand how do we tap into this to get our market share. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Apologies for being late. Had to come in from the airport. Ishwar Chugani, I've been involved with Giordano from its inception. I look after the Middle East operations, but also sit on the board of Giordano, where we operate 2,500 stores in 40 countries. The biggest challenge we have is being a single brand. How do we keep growing? In terms of technology, the e-shop in China for us today is a $50 million business, but it was 6 or 7 years of learning. And to share with everybody, it's actually a separate profit center and business center with a separate team and separate merchandise. The challenge for us here, where you have stores in every mall, is how do you convince customers to go online? So for us, moving forward, the online shopping or e-sale will be more a complementary or add-on service to our customers.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Appleton, founder of Mini Exchange, which is the region's first online marketplace for kids fashion. We launched earlier this year, in January, and we launched as a platform for both parents to buy and sell kids fashion, and also brands and retailers out here to use us as a kind of portal to sell their last season and old season stocks through the site. So we work on a consignment basis with the brands and stores out here, many of which are based in Dubai Mall, sell their old stock, and then the money goes back to the brands. So similar to Namshi, we've seen a huge push towards mobile, focus very heavily on optimizing our mobile platform, and data-wise, 9 months in, haven't got a huge amount to share, but working on all the latest Google e-commerce tracking codes to kind of collect that data over the next 6 to 9 months.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Muna Ataya. I'm the founder and CEO of mumsworld.com. Mumsworld's a pure play vertical e-commerce site for all things mother, baby, and child. Our vision is very simple, and that's to empower mothers to make the most informed purchase decisions for their children. We have over 100,000 products on our site, and we deliver within 2 to 3 days. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jeremy Johnston. I'm the CEO of a business that's based in Saudi Arabia called Zuhur Al Reef. We have around 250 locations now. We're expanding quite quickly throughout the GCC, and we recently opened in Morocco. Our business is all about body care, perfumes, and home fragrance. We are primarily a bricks and mortar business, but we're feeling our way into e-commerce. And I'm really here to learn some more about it, because in Saudi, e-commerce has been quite slow to take off. So the more information I can get out of you guys, the more I'd appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to taking some new ideas back to Saudi with me. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Rajiv Suri. I work for Majid Al Futtaim Fashion. Majid Al Futtaim is one of the leading retail and shopping malls group in Middle East. At Majid Al Futtaim Fashion, we work with several brands. As regards online, we are having a lot of debate internally as to how do we go about doing it. And really, we think that there are 3 ways, and to go ahead, we either invest in or buy a pure online player and get them to do all the online and e-commerce for us. Or we create our own site and we put all our brands, and we have our own online and e-commerce using that as a platform. Or otherwise, we go brand by brand. So we talk to each of our brands and we say, okay, we'll use your website locally, we'll do the customer service, local pricing, and the delivery, whereas you manage the website, because in fashion, as you know, it's very important to keep the DNA of the brand, the photography, the models, the clothes all up to date. So we are going through this debate. We don't have an answer yet as to how we want to do it. We know we have to do this. We know online is coming. Although in fashion, we are still not so sure. We don't have any information which is solid in terms of what it will add to the top line. So we are quite keen to go ahead. We just don't know as yet how we are going to go ahead. And we've set ourselves sort of spring 16 as the date to launch our site, giving us enough time to do a good amount of homework, if it's necessary, good amount of investment, and therefore we are attending conferences like this here and in other places, trying to get the best ideas. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Vivek Pandey, Khimji Ramdas in Muscat, Oman. We are fairly dominant in the luxury and lifestyle group. We probably have the best brands as our exclusive distributors, whether it's Rolex, Cartier, Chopard, Piaget, Samsonite, Chanel, Nikon, I can go on and on. And also we are in the restaurant business, fine dining, and also franchise for Pizza Hut. On the technology front, last year we have leveraged technology in a very significant way in CRM activities, particularly for our Pizza Hut chain. In fact, we have been nominated for 2 of the awards this evening, including one for the CRM initiative. I would love to share maybe more about it as and when the time permits. Okay, thank you.
Great. We just missed the gentleman before you.
Sorry.
No problem. We request you to introduce yourself.
Good morning. I think he did right because I am not in the retail market. I just came to learn. I am from Zara General Trading, so I'm in general trading for future idea. I came to learn. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michel Haker, VP of Marketing and Business Development of Al Haker Group. We are specialized in entertainment for kids and hotel industry in Saudi, in UAE, and in Jordan. In 1960, father decided to make the first entertainment park in Riyadh. It was an outdoor park. Since then, we started to expand and expand. I'm just mentioning the important dates. Then in 2000, we decided to move from the outdoor to indoor by creating the concept in Saudi, which called Abkarino. By Arabic is the little genius. Then in 2004, we decided to create our concept, which we want to have it and be the only concept for the entertainment indoor centers, which we call it Sparkies. Since then, we decide also to shift our methodology and mechanism to work to be a high-tech business. So we moved from the ordinary old-fashioned tickets that, which we used to do, and we go to the each ride and they get the ticket and they just clips it, and so we moved to the card and magnetic card. In 2008, we decided also to make the card, one card, it can be used in all the location, more than 55, near to 60 location in all the MENA region. You can use by your card, one card, you can use it in all the location. Now we are working to link this card by an account, a real account of money that you can recharge it and you can pay online and can also exchange whatever you have from credit to maybe toys or in other things in our company, such as a meal in hotel or a night or something, you can recharge it through online. Thank you.
My name is Vipin Sethi, and I'm the CEO for the Landmark Group. I think the Landmark Group would probably be one of the largest retailers in the Middle East with 1,900 stores, and we employ about 50,000 people all over the Gulf and the MENA region. We have brands like Centerpoint, which actually is a cluster of 4 brands, the Baby Shop, Shoe Mart, Splash, and Lifestyle. Home Center is another big brand, and Max Fashion, which is in the value segment, is another big brand that we have within the group. Technology has played a very important part in our growth in the last few years as we have implemented the Oracle retail systems throughout the group. It has been a very, very long and tiresome process because to take Oracle retail through every vertical within the group has really been a challenge. Each concept has come with different nuisances, and we have been successful in implementing Oracle, and I think the business is seeing benefit of this implementation. Long way to go. I think a long way to go with data mining and analytics. But I think we realize the need for data mining and analytics and really using the benefit of information to enhance sales and enhance productivity within our stores. Online is a vertical which is, online sales are definitely going to play an important part in this market in the very near future. We do believe that in the West, especially in the UK, online sales are growing at about 25 to 35% every year, year on year, which is a very, very significant growth in sales. And sooner than later, we feel that this trend is going to come to this marketplace also. Although people like to go to shopping malls are nice and glitzy, I think people would rather sit in their living rooms and place orders for whatever they want, and I think this trend will definitely come through in the very near future. We are preparing for it. We have a portal called landmarkshops.com. It's got 3 concepts, Splash, Baby Shop, and Emax. And we have, by the end of June, plans to put up another 3 or 4 concepts on this portal, and I think that will really help sales. So we're looking at it not as another shop, but a little bit more than another shop, the online sales. And I think it's time to get ready. And Amitabh, the context and the subject of this conference is quite apt for this day and age. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Debbie Christensen. I'm the CEO of Novo Cinemas. Novo was formerly Grand Cinemas. I'm sure many of you will know that name from the UAE. We have 15 locations across the GCC, 119 screens and 22,000 seats. We're expecting to double that number by the end of 2015, so we have a very aggressive growth plan in place. One of the reasons we actually rebranded was to make sure that we were more connecting with our target audience. Demographics of our audience, the age is becoming younger and younger, and everything they do is on one of these. So we need to make sure that everything we do, we're engaging with them. Weekly, we usually launch anything up to 15 new movies. So in the lead up to every movie that we're launching, we need to make sure we're engaging with the platform with our target audience. So making sure that we become more customer-centric rather than just purely business-centric, and by doing that, actually it creates more business opportunities. We've just recently launched our new mobile app 2 weeks ago. Partly because we knew it wasn't user-friendly. We weren't getting enough bookings online that we had expected. So we went through a big investment to on the mobile app to make sure that it was really user-friendly. And within 2 weeks alone, we've seen a massive change. We've had some fantastic compliments, which is what everyone hopes to get when you launch something new. But we've seen a trend that people are now starting to book more online. So that's our focus, making sure we really engage with our customer and make every part of the process as easy as possible for them along the way. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Saeed Dahir, CEO of Azadea. We look at ourselves as one of the leading focused franchise lifestyle retailers in the region. We operate through multiple categories, not only fashion retail, but also in multimedia through Version. We also have some, I would say, authentic food and beverage formats, and definitely one of the largest sporting goods, Decathlon. Azadea, I guess one of our challenges in the coming years is growth. We believe that online is a great way to be able to, capitalize on that opportunity. Technology continues to play a big role in our business, like any other big retailer in the region, and it has tremendous opportunities going forward. I would say most of our brands do exist online and do conduct business online, so that's not an issue. Our biggest challenge is the execution and how we can preserve the customer experience. And talking to some of, I guess, the veterans here, I know it's quite difficult to operate, online and really conducting an e-commerce business. We look at online as another channel, not a different business at all. And I guess time will tell how important would be in the region with all its special characteristics, and time will tell how much we will be able to cope with these challenges. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Clive Stanley, CEO of Life Healthcare Group. We're the largest chain of pharmacies in the UAE. As of today, we have 104 pharmacies trading. I have another 26 to open in the next 2 to 3 months, and we have, I think, another 36 leases already signed. So our growth is going to be pretty huge, and it's very exciting. I guess my interest in technology is probably more about how we can enhance the shopping experience related to pharmacy, particularly as regards information, because I think people are becoming much more demanding in terms of understanding what they're purchasing. So we're not yet at a stage where we're looking at going online. How relevant it is for pharmacy, I'm not sure. And our focus is still very much on organic growth. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Abdel Adr Saadi, Managing Director of Glee Hospitality. Glee Hospitality was set up almost 6 years ago. We specialize in the F&B market. We develop concepts and operate different outlets in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Baghdad. Hopefully next year we should be in Saudi, Kuwait, and Bahrain. In terms of the technology, we are impacted by the new phone apps in terms of online ordering or in terms of feedback from the likes of Zomato or even more kiddish style Instagram. And the difficulty is how to manage these different portals and respond to the customers with their feedbacks. As we all know, not all feedbacks are positive and nothing's 100%. So it's really managing customer expectations in time. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Mark Thompson from Motorola Solutions, but as you can see from the posters and the board, we've recently been acquired by Zebra Technologies. So I'll talk a bit later, so I'll keep this very short. I'm going to talk later about mobility, both mobility from a customer point of view, and that's critical. What does that actually mean? What are customers actually looking for? But also, and I think it's important from a retail perspective, to understand mobility from a staff perspective as well. Because one of the most significant costs you have in your business is the staff walking around the store. And if we can help them with certain bits of technology, then I think you can actually increase your sales without having to look too far away. So we talked about growth. Online is certainly a way. It's interestingly people talking about online as a channel, and that's very much the way retailers look at it. But think of it a little bit from a customer perspective. When you think about going shopping, Are you thinking about which channel you're going to go shopping in? No. You think about which brands or which sort of products you're looking for. And I think that's something to bear in mind as you're designing your online and omnichannel experience going forward.
Good morning. My name is Wasim Kabera. I lead retail, e-commerce, and mobile here at Google in the Middle East. I'm going to be talking a bit later about e-commerce and mobile and retail, so I'll keep it short. What I will share is a personal anecdote, actually. When Amitabh and I met a year ago, I'm not sure where it was. Was it here as well? Okay. I had just finished a presentation on omni-channel retailing and the potential in the region. And Amitabh had an idea where he said, what if we brought the top 20 retail CEOs in one room to talk about digital? At the time, to be very honest with you, I thought that he was mad, because based on my discussions with the retail companies, they were not ready, digital was not on their mind. But what I can say today is that this is a real milestone, I think, for retail in the region, and a milestone for myself and my career. So I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to productive discussions on how we can get more of the MENA retailers.
Okay, I'm Pat Bakey. I'm the Global General Manager for Consumer and Retail at SAP. I've been with the company since 2004, and I've had kind of an interesting track record. I've worked with the board on our customer relationship management strategy, deployed across all the regions. I've had the great opportunity to be the Chief Operating Officer in EMEA, where I had the responsibility of working with 26 industries. And then when I got an opportunity to select where do I want to spend the next couple of years of my life, I chose the most exciting place, which is retail. If you take a look at the strategies that we put in place over the past 8 years, we recognize exactly what's taking place in the global economy, how that's manifesting itself in terms of risks and opportunities for businesses. And when we take a look at where that change in that opportunity or risk profile is the most intense, it's in this industry. So what I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit of a perspective on what's happening, what the best companies are doing in terms of taking advantage of this opportunity, and what we're doing with them to make sure that we can reduce the amount of time it takes to deploy and activate technology to connect with their customers and take advantage of this magnificent time, I think, for retail.
Thanks very much. Well, we've already met, but I'll just remind you, my name is Shaili Chopra, and I'm your moderator for the next 2 days. I think the most interesting part about this event this morning has been that we've come up with more questions than answers. That's always a great way to start an event, particularly when everyone's looking for collaborative ideas and get perspective on analysis of data, technology, future. So I think Images Retail Middle East has definitely picked the right subject to kick off this discussion in the region, especially so when it comes about discussing what's happening now, what will happen in the future, how will social media shape your shopping experiences, and how omni-channel will bring all of that together, as opposed to, as what was being pointed out just now, that it's not about one channel or the other, it's about all of that coming together. Not either or, but practically everything or all. We're going to start off with the presentations. Didn't think we'd make these introductions in such good time, but I think you've all been fantastic with that. We're going to start our first discussion and presentation by Wasim, who just introduced himself, but I'll once again share with you his entire role. Wasim Kabera is the industry head of the retail space at Google, and he, of course, has been leading the business activities at the company and the partnerships in the retail sector across this region. He's going to come up with something that might be of great use to you, because he's hoping to put together the business framework that retail CEOs can use, and how Google is going to help you build your online businesses. Before we started this discussion, I asked him to throw me one number. I just wanted one number to be thrown at me to feel that, yes, this conference was going to come up with the big picture, but also the great detail. And he said, we're $1 billion today in the region, and we're looking at 10. So let's give him the podium now to give us through what he thinks is going to drive that. And if the numbers are so good, then all of you are going back with some serious revenue opportunities. Over to you, Wasim.
Good morning again. E-commerce is a really big part of Google's business. Actually, a lot of the product innovations that we do on search and all our other products are really driven about helping the ecosystem develop. We are really, really excited by the prospects for e-commerce in the Middle East. Whenever we want to understand the potential for e-commerce in any market, we always look at two factors. One is the level of connectedness of the users, and second is the size of the retail market. And I'm going to be talking a bit about both these factors and why we are really, really bullish on e-commerce in MENA. First, it's important to know that we are in one of the most digitally advanced markets globally. If you look at the UAE and Saudi, over 78% internet penetration. Okay, so from a consumer standpoint, people are connected more so here than anywhere else in the world. When we look at smartphones, again, 61% smartphone penetration in the region. These are staggering numbers. So we talk a lot about mature markets and what's happening in other markets, but if you look at the consumer today, he is ready. If we look at the scale of access, over 75 million people today in the MENA region are connected on smartphones. That number is already a very big number, but will grow by orders of 2-3x in the next 5 years, in our opinion. If you think about the size of the population, 300 million people in the region, how long do you think it will take for everyone that has a feature phone today to have a smartphone in the next 2-3 years? We're hearing stories about smartphones that cost $50, that cost $100. So what we believe is that in the next 2 years, everybody's going to substitute their feature phone for a smartphone. And this 75 million number is going to be 200 million in the next 2-3 years. If you think of that from an access perspective rather than a channel perspective, it's really massive in terms of scale. It's not just about having devices on people's pockets, they're also using them a lot. Mobile, of course, is a big part of that story. When we look at the UAE and Saudi, again, we see incredible usage levels. So we have massive access, huge scale, and a lot of usage. We see that as well when you look at our properties, for example. So YouTube is bigger here than it is anywhere in the world on a per capita basis. Over 310 million views every single day on YouTube. When we look at the Saudi market, it has the highest number of YouTube playbacks per person globally. So this is, again, for us, these are all just indicators that from a connectedness standpoint, from an access standpoint, there is something really, really special in the region, okay? When we look at mobile, again, mobile will keep coming up. Over 50% of our YouTube views in KSA are on mobile. That's a huge number. Osam was talking about 75% of his revenues. We're not there yet, but we're getting there really, really quickly. Of course, when we look at search, also very, very big here, 120 million searches per day in the MENA region. A lot of these searches have commercial intent. Search is, from our perspective, the backbone of the internet. What do we mean by that? We mean that one of the main utilities of online is the ability to research products and services before you buy them. Digital has really empowered people to make more educated purchase decisions. Our view is that the consumer today knows more about your products than the salespeople, because when they come to your store, they've already done probably 1 or 2 hours of research on your product, depending on the product. And this is always important to know whenever you're thinking about every aspect of your business. So what we are seeing as happening is that this first moment of truth that was coined by P&G a long time ago that used to happen kind of in the store is now happening before anyone ever comes to the outlet, okay? And we see that from the numbers. Retail is no exception. So retail, of course, is a very important part of search. People love to search for products and services they want to buy. We see a lot of searches across all the main retail categories. Many people ask me, what do people search for online, when it comes to retail? The answer is people search for online exactly what they buy offline, because it's directly correlated. Before they buy anything offline, they want to search online and compare prices, compare products, etc. It's not just about search. As I mentioned, these searches have a business impact. And the reason for that is that these searches have high commercial intent. So when somebody wants to compare smartphone prices, or he wants to compare, purse or handbags, this person has high commercial intent, and there's a very high probability that after he's searched online, he's going to take some sort of commercial action. And what we've seen is that 75% of these searches on Google lead to some sort of commercial activity. And that can be, for example, 48% visited the business, okay? 58% connected with the business. That can be calling the business, or it can be getting your locations and what have you. 31% shared, told others about it, okay? So all these things are very valuable. Lastly, of course, which is the one that most people, and especially CEOs, focus on, is the purchase. 31% actually made a purchase, online or offline. All of those for us are indicators. They're indicators of a market that is very digitally savvy, people that are very connected, people that use their phones all the time, which is very interesting. But it's only when you combine it with the size of the retail market opportunity that we really start to get excited, okay? And from that perspective, the GCC kind of stands alone. Not only do we have a high level of access, but we have a huge retail market. Now, depending on the source, you know, the non-grocery retail market in the GCC is around $100 billion, okay? So that's pretty significant, and it's larger than many other emerging markets. What we've seen in other mature markets is that up to 10% of that retail market can end up online from an e-commerce standpoint, okay? We're just talking about online sales. Today, in the region, based on my personal estimates, okay, we're probably around 1 or 2%, so 1 or 2 billion potentially across the GCC, which means that there is a huge upside, a 10x upside, as far as online retailing in the region, okay? Now, the important note that I want to share is that this is not going to take 10 years. Although in other markets, this journey took some time, there is a main difference. In other markets, they had to address two challenges, the user challenge and the business challenge. In our market, the user is there, he's ready. So half the problem is already there. It's just the business challenge. It's about once the businesses are ready to offer an online experience to their users, then we will see these numbers grow in a very big way. Again, I like to contrast with mature markets just to make some pretty important points. Another one here is that, of course, we believe that omni-channel retailers can have a very big role to play in driving e-commerce. You know, the Namshis of the world, the pure players, are doing their part to build e-commerce. And we believe that over time, the omni-channel retailers can also play a very big role. When we look at the top 10 e-commerce properties in the UK, we see that among them are many omni-channel retailers. By contrast, when we look at the exact same picture in the region, it's a very different conclusion. Today, it's still, e-commerce is a largely pure player-driven game. And these pure players are active across every vertical in the retail space, all from general propositions across fashion and electronics and what have you, to more niche propositions around moms. We're seeing a lot of businesses come up, and all of them are providing excellent user experiences, excellent value propositions to clients, and starting to have very good traction online. Now, it's not all bad news for the retailers. Based on my discussion with many of your teams, we know that you're doing a lot of good work, and that this is something that you're aware of, and that this is something that you're trying to build. So I believe, or my hope at least, is that when we come back together next year, this picture will have a lot more red than it does today. Building a bit on where you are today, what we've seen this year is that a lot of companies are starting to build the technical infrastructure and the back office transformations that are needed in order to build e-commerce businesses. I think next year will be about testing the commercials and also starting to see some or building commercial traction and also iterating on business models and value propositions. What I would like to leave with you today is a framework that will help you think about your customers in a different way and may have implications on various aspects of your business. God knows we don't need another framework. I Googled frameworks yesterday, and there's 265 million results. So there's a lot of frameworks out there. The challenge with legacy frameworks is twofold. One is that they're siloed around marketing or sales or engineering or technology. And the second is that they do not encompass the complexity of digital. So there is a need for us to have a new business framework that allows CEOs, marketeers, sales folks to think about their online business and their offline business as one and start to make decisions in the right way. We call this framework See, Think, Do, Care. It's based on two components. One is the consideration stage of the consumer. So it's very consumer-centric rather than business-centric. So it's where is the consumer? And who is the exact audience at this consideration stage? So for the C stage, this is the largest possible addressable market. And we stress the word qualified audience in this case. There are many strategies around largest audience, but when it comes to digital, we start to focus more on the qualified audience. The think stage is about the largest possible audience with some commercial intent. So if this is a shoes example, this is somebody who is thinking about buying a pair of shoes, okay? In the C phase, it's somebody who wears shoes, okay? Do is about somebody with a lot of commercial intent. This is somebody who wants to buy in the short term, okay? And these are, of course, the hottest customers. These are the ones that everybody wants, and this is the ones where most e-commerce businesses are centered around the do phase, which is actually something that we would like to change. So I'll get back to that a bit later. The last part is the care stage. The care stage is about people who've bought from you once or twice, okay? And this is about looking at consumers that are existing customers of yours. And again, thinking about this framework. So this is about what kind of assets do I need? What kind of content do I need? What kind of messaging should I have across people at different stages? The second one is about marketing, okay? So where should I invest my dollars, okay? And how should I invest them? What are the channels that make the most sense depending on the strategy that I'm trying to have? So what we see a lot of is, you know, you use a C channel for a do outcome. So you say, I want to have a billboard on Sheikh Zayed and I want to see the online conversions. That is a channel that is mass and is looking to reach a lot of people. Okay, so that's more of a C channel. So if you're looking for business outcomes, you should be thinking about C outcomes. So a lot of this part is about matching activities with the right outcomes. Okay, and this brings us to the last part, which is about rethinking success. Talking to most of you, there is usually one KPI that CEOs care about, and that's sales. Okay, that's the biggest one. You know, what is the online sales for my business? And that's extremely important, of course, but it's not the only thing. And what we will propose is a framework that looks at different outcomes, both macro and micro, across the See, Think, Do, Care stage that are also very, very important to your business. I'll give you a few examples on experience. How many touch points or interactions do you have on your website that are not sales related? We believe that there are many outcomes that are very valuable to businesses that extend beyond just the do phase. Most websites today are do. You go to a website and it's buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, discount here, discount there. And that's great. But that's the equivalent of walking into a retail outlet and having somebody scream at you, buy this, buy that, sale here, sale there. And that's not how you build your business offline. So that's not how you should build your business online. You need to think about the different types of people that are on your website and build a user experience that is correlated with that. So if you have people that have no purchase intent in the C phase, you probably should have C-related type content. So maybe you should try and inspire them. Maybe you should try and have a discussion with them. So things like blogs or videos or things like that you can have to engage consumers that are in the C phase might be more relevant to that person. Here's an example from Pottery Barn. So Pottery Barn has a lot of decorating videos. It's if there was a business case for decorating videos on a website, it would not have been approved. Because the question would be, okay, you're going to ask me for $100,000 to develop decorating videos. What is the business impact? How many transactions am I going to get on the website? The answer is probably 0 in the short term, okay? But that doesn't mean it's not important, because there are hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people a year that will come to your website that just want to engage with you, that want to be inspired, that don't want to buy, and it's important to have something to say. The think phase, of course, as well. How much of your website has think properties? I would argue very little, apart from the product page. If you're looking at a more advanced example, Ray-Ban, for example, lets you try on glasses on their website using your camera. This, of course, has nothing to do with sales in the short term. You could not build a business case for this technology. But again, it's about getting people to start thinking of your product in the right way, using the power of technology so that they can start to compare products, etc. And then also building these valuable outcomes with users. Do is something that, of course, is top of mind. So this is in terms of experience. Most websites today are very do-centric, specifically on mobile. If you open your mobile phone, any app or any M site will have 90% will be just about buy. Buy this, buy this, buy this, okay? And that's fine, but that's incomplete. So doing do well is really important, which this is a great example of AT&T, okay? But also doing other things is really important, specifically care, okay? There are many ways that you can build post-sales relationships with clients using technology. So in this specific case, Sephora from your mobile phone has allowed you to access all your offline and online information from your app. So at any point in time, you know exactly what's in your purchase history, both online and offline, as an example. You know exactly what is in your basket. So they call these my loves list, okay? Again, these are things that are building relationships with clients that extend beyond just trying to sell them in the moment, okay? And these things are very important. We also need to rethink marketing. I think probably the biggest frustration for CEOs when it comes to marketing is it's a very complex environment. There are many channels, so to speak, and it's very difficult to understand what is the role of different channels across different business objectives, okay? And I think the first step is to have the right business objectives. So within a see, think, do, care framework, it's important to then align a lot of the things that we are doing to make sure that we are also putting the right investment in the right place. So if we want to build a C marketing strategy, probably it doesn't make sense to use social and email. Search and email, okay? It probably makes more sense to use more high-reach platforms that can reach a larger number of qualified audience, and probably also more interactive formats, such as social and video. If you have a part of your marketing budget that is allocated to driving sales through think and do, then you need to focus on the channels that are going to be driving those outcomes. And the same thing goes for care. So this is, again, all about mapping your marketing objectives to the right channel. And this is a simplified list of channels. There's many more. If you think about organic search and direct traffic and all this kind of other stuff, okay? It's not necessarily marketing, but these are other channels that are driving a lot of business value. And to understand them in context, things can get quite complex. I'll give you an example of a C execution in the region. So Ronaldo was supposed to be here, and I kind of wanted to share this example with him. But when Ronaldo last year decided that he wanted to have a big campaign for Cyber Monday, so Cyber Monday is something that didn't really exist in the region up until last year, they used, among many channels, they used YouTube in order to create a lot of C moments. What do we mean by C moments? They took a mass reach platform such as YouTube, okay, which gets 320 million views a day, and booked the homepage to let everyone know that they're having a big sale, okay? Now, their objectives was reach and awareness in this specific case. They wanted to have a lot of C moments, and they got 30 million C moments in 24 hours, okay? Now, the impact of that execution was a lot of great C outcomes, which are people coming to the site, people exploring products, etc. Okay? But in that day, did it have a 10x on sales? That would have probably been the case if you were only thinking about do? Probably not. Okay? So this is an example of matching the right platform with the right objective. If you're in the think phase, as we said, it's really about research. It's about making sure you're buying the right product from the right place. People use search a lot, among other things. They also talk to friends and they go to social and what have you in order to build their opinions and conclusions around products they want to buy. Having the right presence at the right time is extremely important. If you're trying to sell shoes and you're not part of the discussion on search, then probably you will miss the think stage, which is a very important stage. Here's another example of KFC, who is thinking about do. So here KFC is thinking, how do I get people in my outlets? How do I get people to buy more chicken today? Okay, and they really want to focus on the do folks in this specific strategy. Again, for them, mobile is inherent to their business because buying fast food is an on-the-go type activity. So they want anyone that has an impulse to buy KFC to immediately know all the information he needs to do to buy. Okay, so in this specific example, you can, within a second, know exactly where their locations are by clicking on the Get Directions button. You can call them if you want delivery. Okay, you can find maps. Okay, you can click on a button that will take you to maps and it'll tell you exactly where all their locations are. Care again. So this is an example of care. This is a great example, actually. So what Expedia did is it remarketed all their loyal customers, okay, that had not opted in to their rewards program with a display campaign that is saying you are invited to our rewards program. So that's the message. It's a bit small on the bottom there. But effectively, this is a really smart care execution. They're focusing on repeat purchasers. They have a specific channel they want to use, which is display, and that's a very strong channel for remarketing. And they're targeting users with a very clear message. So that's a great example of having the right objective, the right channel, the right messaging on the right platform. I'm going to close with rethinking success because that's the most important thing. And what I'd like businesses to start doing more is to think about see, think, do, care outcomes rather than just sales outcomes. Most KPI dashboards today are very sales-centric, as we said. Most companies today care about purchase. There are a lot of other things that are important that will help you build a funnel, and also drive sales throughout the see, think, do purchase funnel. If you were just tracking orders today on your website, probably you're not getting the full story. We know today that e-commerce is still a small part of your business, and maybe m-commerce is an even smaller part of that business. So going through all this trouble just to get sales in the short term, you probably won't see the value and you won't make the right decisions. When you start to consider all the other valuable macro and micro outcomes that are important to your business across the see, think, do, care phase, then you can start to put things in more perspective. And you can start to have the right KPIs for the right phase. So how well is my business doing at building a pipeline? And that's the C question. How well is my business doing at building consideration with clients? And that's the think phase. And you need to have the right KPIs. And how well am I doing at driving sales and loyalty? Okay, which is the last two. And again, once you know what are the outcomes that you care about, it's about setting the right KPIs. And this will be different to each company. But things that typically people only care about, which are sales, revenue per sale, conversion rate, etc., become very important metrics, but not the only metrics that are important. And what will happen is that the business will pivot around customer-centric KPIs. Thank you.
Wasim, thanks very much. Maybe request you to just stay right there as we try and get everyone to interact and ask you some questions. It was a fascinating presentation. Of course, much of it was recapped pretty well by him, but I think just some of the soft things that I came up with was that e-commerce is not just about shopping and revenue models. It's about investing in inspiration and thinking beyond sales. So perhaps the idea of being welcoming and warm to the customer is not just a brick and mortar bastion. It has to be done online as well. The numbers, $1 billion to a $10 billion, that could go in well, several less years than 10. So I think there are lots of thoughts out there. For those of you who were raising several questions at the start of this, we'd welcome you to ask your questions. And I think you've got one right here. We've got the gentleman from Giordano to start this off.
Hi, Wasim. Quick question. For a normal person or a layman, when they hear Google, the first thing that comes to mind is search. Or if my IT team comes to me and says, we have to use Google to our online and our retail. But a lot has changed over the years. How would you redefine Google today, and where we as a retailer can take advantage of it apart from just search?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, search again is just a product, you know, and it's an important part from our perspective in the think and do phase of the retail journey, but it's much bigger than that. And our role today is to, one, evangelize digital, okay? Secondly, to make sure that CEOs and CMOs are armed with the right toolkits in order to build profitable businesses online. Now, when it comes to our products specifically, what we're seeing, and I don't know if this is by accident or this is actually deliberate or not, is that we have various platforms that are relevant at different customer stages. So our video proposition is extremely relevant for any customer that's trying to drive C outcomes. And that's really important. That's YouTube, of course. So if you want to engage a very large audience, if you want to build rapport and interact with them, of course YouTube is a great channel for that. So it's not just about search as well. And more broadly than YouTube or search, it's also about mobile. So one of the things that we are doing as a business is we're really, I would say, doubling down on Android, more so than we already have. Today, 80% of all the smartphones are Android-enabled devices, which is huge. And we expect that number to grow when we look at India and China and what's happening there. And that for us as well is about, again, advancing e-commerce and really making sure that people are connected to the web. So all these things kind of tie together. We probably need to have our own see, think, do, care matrix for our business. But yeah, so it's a lot of different things.
Thank you. Stay there. We've got more questions. And also want to say that the questions are not just restricted to the CEOs here, but those who are very much sitting in the audience as well. If you have a question, do raise your hand. We'll have a mic come around there. Do we have any more questions here? Right there. Please go ahead.
I wanted to check up with you if Google has done any work on the attention shift that is taking place from TV to the digital. There's no doubt there is the shift taking place. I'm asking this in reference to the allocation of marketing dollars.
Yes, actually. So we work very closely with consumer companies, much as we do with retail as well. And of course, their main objective is, in large part, optimizing their marketing budgets in order to achieve their brand goals, which are usually awareness and brand metrics. Okay. What we've tried to prove, and I think we've done so successfully, is that YouTube can be a very successful complement to a TV strategy by virtue of the reach and cost efficiency of YouTube, but also in the engagement potential of online in general. So what we did actually in last year is we ran 8 different studies with 8 different companies on the impact of YouTube combined with traditional TV campaigns. And what we saw consistently is that although YouTube represented only 10% of the marketing budgets as a maximum, it had a disproportionate impact on brand metrics if it were incremental reach that they were tracking or brand metrics. So we saw, for example, things like uplift, brand uplift and awareness and what have you. 40–50% was driven by YouTube, whereas only 10% of the budget was put on that platform. So we see a lot of opportunities with YouTube as a complement to TV from a business standpoint. When we look at consumers, we know already that 80% of the people that are watching TV are also on smartphones while they're watching TV. So TV time is couch time, and couch time is smartphone time as well. So we know there is something there, and we're also going on to prove that there is a relationship as well between YouTube, TV simultaneously, and building a value proposition from that perspective.
Right question right there. Sure. We're just getting a mic through to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Wasim, for this presentations. I just would like to share a comment with you that YouTube has become a really important tools to use. We just launched in Saudis in the Red Sea Mall a YouTube platforms for our customer, retail and visitor. And we find it that is very excited and people are more into YouTube. My question is how we could take a local platform in YouTube to the international arena.
Sorry, what do you mean by internationals?
Viewers, people are getting more engaged in terms of promotions, people are more interested in terms of sales, something like that, to help our customers and tenants to get advantage of that.
Okay, so I think it's, the short answer, it should be around the communication and the content itself. So what we've seen is that, if I understand your question correctly, what we've seen is that depending on the marketing objective, companies that are using YouTube really, really well are developing segmented, different types of content. So companies that are trying to drive think outcomes are developing a lot of value proposition oriented content where they communicate what makes them so special, for example. So I'll give you a company like Emirates, okay? So Emirates has 100 videos that are think related. It's all about their value proposition, whether it's the entertainment system or the loyalty program or what have you, okay? So this is their way of building more think outcomes with using YouTube, okay? Of course, using YouTube for awareness is what everybody starts with, okay? But that's not the only way. And then using YouTube for do outcomes, which is more transaction oriented, that's really an online benefit because everything there, everything can be done, everything is clickable in a way. So you can watch a video and click on the video and then go transact. So it's also a good way to promote people to buy eventually. So it's really about mapping that platform to your objectives and then having also the right content and messaging in the same way that we were looking at website and having the right content with video specifically about having the right content.
I really enjoyed your the comments on the see, think and care part of the matrix. And the question is really, that's where in a lot of retail, particularly, you know, so let's say fashion retail, for example, that's where there's so much human interaction, which people enjoy, which is where they go into a shop and they talk to the person, they touch the fabric, they do all of that. And other good examples of being able to tackle that, because I feel that probably in areas or countries which are less sort of, or cultures which are less sort of transaction orientated, it probably takes longer to cut through that part of it, in the see, think, care part of it, as opposed to the do. When you want to do that and buy some grocery or electronics, it's easy to do that. But really it's those aspects which are far more difficult, which is why even in countries like the UK, it still remains at 12% and not at 25%.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. And I go back to the framework. It's really about building the right user experience. If you want to have people more engaged at the top of the funnel, then you need to have the right content. It cannot be just sales-oriented, short-term content. And companies are starting to do that. Companies that are more advanced are starting to do really big things there, especially actually retailers, because they already have this mindset ingrained in their DNA anyway. Most retailers today think about building relationships with customers and about engaging with people that are not necessarily ready to buy. This is part of your DNA, so this is an advantage for you. Whereas maybe the pure players are experts at think and do, and this is probably an area that they are developing. So I think, again, it goes back to having the right type of assets, the right type of content and messaging, and of course having the right kind of marketing as well.
A fascinating chat. Any more questions out here? Because we're all set then to take a bit of a tea break, but I'd like to mention this to all the ladies and gentlemen present here that Wasim, of course, is going to be around through the afternoon for you all to interact, but it's a good opportunity for all of you to exchange cards now that we know who's doing what and what kind of opportunity lies ahead. This is the first break, but the rest of the day seems to be as exciting. We'll be back with Patrick Bakey to talk about SAP and looking at the future of technology, data, retail, and much more. Not to forget the mega evening for the awards this evening. So keep that at the back of your mind as you plan your afternoon, the conference, and your evening. Out for tea for the moment, back shortly. Any of you who've just joined in or are just getting to understand where we're headed with this conference, the Images Retail Middle East Forum is really exciting because it's actually making an attempt to take stock of the fast-moving Middle East retail environment. There's tremendous focus on analysis, data, formats, convergence, the future, and of course, at the center of all of this, the consumer and how he or she is changing. We've been very fortunate to have this morning 3 exciting speakers, all of who are focusing their discussions on what technology is doing to this retail sector. No doubt, it's completely shaking it up and turning it around on its head. Just a few minutes ago, we concluded a session with Wasim from Google, and the next 2 sessions, both with Patrick and Mark, promise to be very exciting. So let me take the opportunity to introduce to you the next session. It's called Responding to the Next Waves of the Retail Disruption. And for this, we've got a very special guest who's flown in from Paris, Patrick Bakey. He is the Global Head of Consumer Industries at SAP, and we're very fortunate to have him here because he's going to talk about how technology can help retailers drive a rich and appealing customer journey. A little more about Pat first. He's been driving collaboration across regions for SAP between customers, partners, and the 7 primary domains of SAP, which is IBU, development, sales, services, ecosystem and channel, global support, marketing, and communications. Well, Pat has got 25 years of experience in the information technology industry. He's committed to helping customers enhance their consumer experience and turn the insights into revenues. As Chief Operations Officer for the Emerging Markets EMEA 2012 to 2014, he's built and executed the go-to-market strategy for the region. Before this, he served as the Executive Vice President of SAP Strategic Industries in North America and managed their public services, financial services, retail, and healthcare business units. A warm welcome once again to everyone here and to Patrick, who will now take the stage and run you through a very exciting presentation.
Thank you, Shelley. It's a tough introduction to live up to. 25 years, I feel old just listening to that, especially when you run as fast as we do in these industries. So thank you very much. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Before I sort of get into my presentation, and I'll check the time so we keep each other honest, because I want to make sure we do have time for a dialogue. Let me just comment and reflect a little bit on this event, as Sherry said. These events are always important, but I think they take on increased importance when you take a look at the topics that we're dealing with, the businesses that we're running, and the opportunities or risks that we see on the horizon. And I am in complete favor of joining and listening to the content here. I think we all leave these seminars over the next 2 days a lot smarter, learning a lot more about what we can do with each other to move this industry forward. But it's equally important for our business. As you heard, I've been on the leadership team at SAP for quite some time, and in my role running global retail, it's amazing how many times when I go to our global gatherings and we're talking at board meetings where the questions become, Pat, what are the retailers doing? Because the trends that we're talking about, the consumer, the dimensions of competition, speed, are taking place in this industry of retail at a faster pace than in any of the other industries. And really other industries and other executives are looking at what we do in this industry to capitalize on the opportunity. So it doesn't go unnoticed. What we do here, how we address these opportunities has significance not just for our businesses, for this industry, but really for the global economy. And I hate to overstate that, but if you take a look at what retail means to these global economies, In any one of these economies, it represents 1 out of every 5 or 20% of every individual employed is somehow related to the retail market. So if we grow our businesses, the impact on regions, the impact on the global economy is rather profound. So first thing I'll say is responding to the next wave of retail disruption. It's kind of an interesting slide. The story behind this is I got together with my leadership team. We need this a little bit louder. I've never had that problem before. I got together with my leadership team and we were trying to set up the communication cadence to sort of frame our message to retail leaders. And this is what we came up with. The only problem is we're working on the content for our first presentation about the future retailers or retailing. We realized that by the time the presentation actually took place, and it was only a couple of weeks away, the future that we were talking about would already be the present. And that's kind of the nature of how things are in this industry. The future is actually a series of waves that are cascading on our beaches, and these waves are relentless, they're unending, and they can either create opportunities or they can create huge risk profiles. So we like to think about the future retailing as retailing now, and how do we understand what's going on now and take advantage of that to move our businesses forward. So if you take a look at what we'll pick up over the next 2 days, we clearly understand the pace of change is happening at an accelerated rate. And we're going to explore what is creating this pace of change and how we react to this pace of change. But I don't think the impact of change can be better stated than if you take a look at what Starbucks is doing. I think this is a global retailer. They're in this region. They're in just about every single region. And if you take a look at where they've been, where they are, and where they're going, it really puts into perspective what is happening in this industry. So if you think, we talked about mobile commerce, we talked about e-commerce, mobile devices. Last year in the US, there were 1.3 billion in mobile commerce. 90% of that took place in a Starbucks retail outlet. In the US, Starbucks mobile commerce represents 16% of their overall revenue. And if you take a look at what they've done to take their customer loyalty program to execute a customer experience on the mobile platform, recognizing that that is how their customers connect with them, connect with each other, it has a huge impact on actually defining who they are. Are they a retailer? Are they a purveyor of a beautiful beverage experience? Are they a music company? Are they a distributor for the next labels, the next books? Are they a technology company with their mobile technology? I'd suggest that they're all of those. And so the definitions that we typically place on these industries are blurring rapidly. And we'll talk about that because I think that that reflects who's leading this change. It's the customer. And the business strategy is simply get close to the customer. In the business that you're in, whether that's in this industry, environmental, a physical store, on the internet, right, will be defined by your customers today and who your customers are tomorrow. It's the customer journey that we need to enable, we need to understand, and we need to follow. And that's probably the best business strategy that I could recommend. So let's take a look, sort of from a global perspective, these macro trends that we see and that we're feeling and that we'll be talking about. What is happening in this industry? Right, so this industry we know is being driven by the consumer, and just throw out a couple of facts. The consumer today, has more money. We have a middle class that's going to approach 5 billion in a few years. This consumer today is by and large the millennial. These are digital natives, and that's an important concept to understand because the way that they use technology, it's like the channel discussion. They don't think about technology as technology. It's just what they do. It's how they shop. It's how they communicate with each other. And these smart devices, as we heard, are going to be more pervasive. So in addition to that, about 1.7 billion of these smart devices globally will be used in the next year. These consumers are also not just mobile, but they're connected. I think Facebook says that they'll have 1.7 billion individuals on their social network in the next 2 years. So these consumers are digital natives. They're mobile, they're connected, and they have money. And so we need to understand the impact that they represent and the opportunity that they represent. If you take a look at the industry, the super aggregators, we know these names, Amazon.com, 74 billion. We saw the IPO a couple weeks ago with Alibaba. We see what eBay is doing in terms of merchanting and commerce. And it's not just the sheer size of these companies that's interesting and I think provides a learning opportunity to reflect on. But if you think about where they came from, these were the e-tailers, right? They emerged from the e-tailing, from the world of e-commerce. But it was their ability to really define new business opportunities. They introduced this concept of unlimited aisles, unlimited assortments. But it just wasn't about the physical shopping experience that they were replicating in an online world. They were creating a new shopping experience. So they quickly moved into new product categories. We've seen the phones, we've seen the devices around the Kindle, we've seen the Kindle move from just providing a reading experience to an interactive experience with others. You take a look at what Alibaba is doing in terms of working with retailers to take care of the complexity in their business. So I think in addition to just the speed that these super aggregators have, it's what is driving their business strategy, and that's the customer intimacy. It's following these customers, working with these customers, and relentlessly trying to create the right customer experience. Clearly, because when the consumer is the driver of all change and the business strategy is get close to the customer, this is changing the business models that we see, and it's changing the business strategies. Everybody wants to get closer to the customer regardless of what business that you're in. And Zycom is really interesting because this takes this concept of actually producing manufacturing. They manufacture organic products. And their business model is to take that directly to the table at wholesale prices. So kind of an interesting play on this manufacturing to consumer model that we see. Nike, it's hard to imagine that just a couple of years ago, they were actually debating in Beaverton, Oregon, should they be in the e-commerce business? And now it represents 27% and is growing at the fastest clip of their overall business. And what they thought the barrier was, which was channel conflict, again, they're thinking internally, was actually channel or customer expansion. So the relationship they had with one of their primary retailers, Foot Locker, by putting Foot Locker in one of their stores and creating a different curatory experience for their customers, they actually attracted new demographics. They created a different customer experience, and they grew revenue for themselves and for one of their partners. So again, when you, instead of entering business opportunities with the mindset of internal and you focus on the customer, really interesting things can happen. And these are the new business models in the value chains. So if you take a look sort of as we talk about these trends and you think about SAP in the technology and how I can put what we do in the context of this discussion. We are in the business of actually providing technology focused on business applications. This is what we have done for 45 years. We have the leading business industry applications across 26 industries. Our fastest growing and most, I would say, customer relevant applications are in retail because we have to work with our customers to develop these applications in a way that enable their business associates, their business executives to connect with their customers. But we're not just an application company. We are also a platform company. And what does that mean? It means that in this world where the competitive advantage is speed, we can't possibly think of everything and do everything and build everything, right, in a dimension and at a pace that you need. And so we need to have a platform in place where you can actually, and your partners and our partners can actually build extensions to these so that you create the right customer experience, so that you delight the customer so that they'll buy more and engage with you more. And to bring the right context in place, so whether you deploy your technology in your own business or if you want to run it in the cloud or in some other location, you still have that continuity. And so that's why a business platform is really, really important. And the third dimension that I want you to think about in terms of how we're enabling retailers is this concept of the business network. We at SAP run the largest commercial business network in the world. We drive more commerce through this business network than eBay and Amazon combined. And this is just the beginning. If you take a look at not only how you run your business in partnership with others, and I gave some examples, but it's not just about running your business with your partners, it's learning about your business through partners and growing your business through partners. So we at SAP are working with retailers across the globe and in this region to make sure that we can help deploy the best applications in the world to run your business on the best business application in the world and with the best business partners that you can think of. Right? I think there was a sort of a historical debate in terms of what is the competitive dimension that businesses are focused on. Is it big versus small. And I think that that debate is clearly over. It's all about, the debate is it fast or is it slow? And fast always wins. So everything that we're doing at SAP, starting here in retail, is focused on fast speed of developing, deploying, and enabling the business technologies that you need to connect with your customers, connect with your employees, and run your business. All right, we talked about the consumer. The word of mouth, the social network is really, really important. Again, it's either a time of great opportunity or great risk. If you do this right, if you connect with your customers and you connect with their community, right, and you have an opportunity, a magnificent opportunity, regardless of size, to scale your brand and improve your brand. But again, it's high risk, because if you don't create the right opportunity, or if you're not in the right conversation, you either destroy and erode your brand, or you don't get a chance to create visibility to your brand. So this world of social is really important. It's about experiences and not technology. We talked about what we're learning from the super aggregators. The business strategy is connect with your customer, understand the consumer experience, and not the transaction. I'll give you a couple of examples of what we're doing in this area. So everybody wants to get closer to the customer. We are working with some of the largest consumer packaged goods in the US around a very simple, light capability that allows them to actually have their customers. The technology is called BUILT, and it stands for helping customers assemble products when they get them at home. So the do-it-yourself trend is in full force. The biggest risk in do-it-yourself is actually doing it yourself. And when you get home and you dump everything on a carpet and you try to figure out how to build the bike or build the grill, it's very confusing. That is not the best customer experience, and it has implications on the brand and the relationship with the retailer you bought it from, or the CPG company that built it. So with this really light application that incorporates video, that incorporates audio, it actually gives a consumer a simple and pleasurable way to walk through the assembly. Not only that, it increases the stickiness because they give their information. There's a higher sign up for warranty using this application. And so consumers and retailers are getting more information about their customers, and they're actually using that to stay connected with the customer. So a very simple way where you have retailers and CPG companies focused on the experience, life after the sale, to actually grow their business. There's a company in France, a retailer called Darty. Darty is actually showing how you can monetize the customer service experience to make up for the sale that you lost. So what they do is there's a monthly subscription of €5. It's really nothing. It just shows a recognition that you pay this bill so you have this service. There's a Darty button inside of all their customer homes, where if you have any problem on any consumer product, whether you bought it for them, whether they carry it or not, you touch it, you're connected to them, and they will solve your problem. So they're into the business of finding the problem, finding the customer problem, solving it with them, and making the bet on the next purchase. We heard about changing the way that you define and look at KPIs, how you define and measure new business opportunities. These are not traditional ways. And the executive at Darty spent about 9 months trying to convince the board that was focused on traditional business metrics that this was actually a good idea. But this is what the leading retailers are doing in order to monetize the experience into business value. And we have this other example called real time. This is a concept everybody's talking about. The best customers recognize that the difference between winning and losing is doing the right thing in real time. You can actually do the right thing, but if you're too slow, somebody's going to come in. And I have countless examples that I can share with you of businesses that are recognizing this. So we're in a real-time world. We need to understand what is going on with the customer, be able to deliver the right product or the right service in the channel or the environment of their choice, and make that pleasurable. And when you do that in real time, you're going to grow your business. Ubiquitous utilization, insight to action, the Internet of Things, omni-commerce. We've touched on these. You'll see more. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time other than showing you in this world of complexity, simplicity wins. So what I would suggest is right outside, we have a booth, and it actually showcases a smart vending device. If you walk through the business scenarios in this smart vending device, it will show you exactly how businesses today can take advantage of the Internet of Things, machine-to-machine commerce. what it means to actually understand what's happening with the customer in real time and delight them, what it means when you're running a business operations and you have an environment that has a risk profile because you don't have the right product in the right location based on the weather, that you can actually take immediate action to remedy that situation, and through your analytics show how a predictive drop in declined sales can actually improve. So that is a wonderful example of how what we're talking about, which might have been futuristic applications of technology, are actually happening today. And the businesses that are recognizing this and are simplifying the way that they deploy this technology and bring it all together are really the winners. The other statement just around complexity. The biggest challenge when you see a lot of opportunity, right, is how do I monetize it? There is, for existing retailers, I think they understand what they need to do. The challenge is they have 5, 10, 15, and 20 years of building up a complex technology infrastructure that in a world where the difference between winning and losing is how quickly you recognize the opportunity and how agile you are to take advantage of it, you have what I would call a boat anchor or a parachute that's pulling you behind. So when I take a look at, when I talk about business applications and platform in the business network, the number one thing we're doing with retailers today, with CEOs in the boards, are showing how that they can take an environment where 75% of their IT spend is just on running this complex business and adding no business value. And they can reduce that to 25% and then repurpose that spend into what I'll call their innovation agenda. This creates the affordability and this creates the excitement in execution. We talked about that earlier, the execution to move forward. If you take a look at the paper today in Dubai, innovation. Innovation is what made this emirate so strong and a world leader in terms of moving a country and a people forward. And innovation is the key to continuing to do that. So innovation is the key to winning and moving your businesses forward in retail. And the way that we can do that is by simplifying your environment and allowing you to react and move much quicker. So this blending of technology with customer experience is what the best retailers around the world are doing right now. They are operationalizing the concepts that I'm talking about today. So and it's about moving beyond what I think were check-the-box good retailing strategies just 2 years ago. For example, customer loyalty programs. If you don't have a customer loyalty program today, you're probably in the wrong industry. But it's not just about checking the box and having a customer loyalty program. It's how are you leveraging that to connect with your customers. So companies like Loblaws, a grocer in Canada, right, or Yodobashi, which is a consumer electronics firm in Japan, are actually fortifying their customer loyalty program, getting rich customer information. They are taking advantage of GPS, global positioning technology, and Wi-Fi's in their stores. They're taking advantage of Bluetooth technology in their stores to do the following. They now can understand what's happening in their stores with the precision that Amazon can identify a user on their site. Based on that, they can understand price elasticity of what's in the basket and where they're spending time. And based on the loyalty and the mobile app that they're using from these stores, they can actually deliver a real-time offer. So with the old customer loyalty programs, customers are frustrated because they are getting spammed and bombarded with irrelevant communications. So it's actually a damaging value proposition. But if you take it to the next level and can actually excite, you increase the intimacy and you increase the insight to action value proposition that I talked about. So this is what the great retailers are doing right now. They're engaging with their customers. They're curating their products. So to create the experience, it's not about a product or a channel, it's about an experience. And they're actually rethinking this whole concept of stores. So as we know, when you're trying to get much closer to the consumer, the last mile is really important. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of sort of the distribution activities from these distribution centers moving into the stores. So what is the implication on the store associate who should be spending all their time with the customer, but now they're actually spending some of their time doing pick, pack, and deliver. So this whole dynamic around changing value chains, changing business models has an implication on how you manage your human capital. And the best retailers today are figuring this out in solving that problem. So again, our mission really is to be working with all of you around simplifying your business, to create a greater environment of adaptability so that you can move your business forward and really spend your time with your customers, become very customer-centric. And this will not just help you execute your business plans for today, but it's going to help you understand and define your business model and your business opportunity for the future. And so when I'm traveling around the world, when I'm speaking with retailers, there's this debate on, is this a time of risk or is this a time of opportunity? Right? And I always reflect back that it's a great time of opportunity, but only if you see it and you're prepared to take advantage of it. Technology has a wonderful role to play. Technology will not be the barrier in many of the business strategies that you want to execute. It's your operating plan, it's your investment plan, and it's your human capital plan, and it's your change management plan. How are you going to pull all this together so that you can execute it? We'll show you, as I mentioned today, how technology is being used and how you can use it, but really it's about understanding the opportunity, the better practices, and getting to work connecting with your customers. All right. And so with that, I will finish my comments and open it up for any questions.
Thanks, Patrick. We're going to open this up to questions. It's been a very exciting presentation there with several aspects. Bit of art and science, both of data. Let's get some questions for Patrick. Could you just raise your hands or point us towards you so we could come across? Anyone here? Amitabh, do you want to start with a question?
Patrick, you've been in this region earlier, and what do you see are the issues which retailers are facing, and what do you see, why aren't the Middle East retailers thinking the way the counterparts across the world are thinking in terms of technology?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say, we heard it earlier today, I think a great focus when it comes to these enterprise applications is the concept that they're big, they're complex, they take a lot of money, and careers are invested in these over a period of years. And that's been a barrier. It's been the speed. It's actually to get the right infrastructure up and running, which has resulted in the deployment of a lot of what we'll call point solutions or homegrown solutions. So a big barrier has been the complexity of deploying the necessary environment. And as I mentioned, that's changing. So you can get this technology now delivered in a cloud environment with deployment cycles that are weeks or months as opposed to years. So that's been one of the biggest barriers. The second is, I think, a huge opportunity. You take a look at the growth here. MENA is a growth region. When I was part of the leadership team in EMEA, we implemented our MENA growth strategy in 2012. And one of the industries that was driving the growth was retail. And so we are very connected with the leadership team here in MENA of working with the retailers. So I would say it's complexity, it's cost, and in a world where you need to have speed.
Just out of curiosity, Patrick, what's the full meaning of SAP, or what's the long form name of it?
The actual name of SAP, this is a question that my children asked me, right, about years ago when I joined the company. It is System Application, and it's a German P. It's a Production, or Malvina, the actual translation? Systems Applications Products is kind of, I think, the technical word.
Hello. The complexity is being mentioned about the MENA. Is MENA one homogeneous market that can be addressed, or would technology enable the complexities of so many heterogeneous markets which could be brought together? You've got the retail market exists in the midst of, let's say, socio-political factors also which need to be factored in. And can we look at MENA as just one nation, or is it, it's like saying Southeast Asia is one nation, or the equator is one nation? Right. Similarly, does that apply to this part, or MENA is really just one region?
No, it's no. Obviously, that's a term we use to categorize a grouping of market units or countries. So clearly, each of the countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's UAE, whether it's what we refer to as the Gulf states, or North Africa, are all different and represent different sort of customer or industry opportunities. I would say clearly where we see, and inside of retail, retail is, it's represented with, your consumer goods, you have your hard goods, you have grocer, you have fashion. Inside of fashion, you have fast fashion. So all that complexity is sort of summarized in the term retail and also in the term of MENA. But across MENA, we see the same trends in terms of, a growing population. We see an increase in spending. We see a consumer that's increasingly mobile. All the trends that we saw are accelerated across this region, which is why the region as a whole represents a great opportunity. But each one is sort of moving at a different pace and maybe in a different focused area.
Right, we're running on schedule, so if there is one question, okay, great. One second.
Hi. What sort of rate is your business growing here at the moment? I mean, and does that sort of give a mirror of how the e-space is growing?
Yeah, we actually are, when you're in a growth industry and you're a leader in the growth industry, you should be setting pretty impressive goals. So our expectations grow 2.5 times the market growth rate, and we are exceeding that target right now by following these strategies. It's also interesting, 20 minutes doesn't give justice to actually what we're doing. We're actually working with a lot of e-commerce customers, right? Pure play e-commerce customers. We're also working with a lot of startups. One company, for example, we worked with is called Zulily. Now, this is a customer that was below 50 million 3 years ago. It's now greater than 1 billion. And this isn't to suggest if you're successful, you become 1 billion. Some just become great 50 million companies. But they were a company that was based, it came out of the world of e-tailing. It was based on this concept of crowdsourcing, connect with your customers to understand what they want and build it in a fast fashion type of an environment. Create amazing product assortments and continuously change those assortments in a very highly dynamic basis. And by taking advantage of our technology, deploying in months, right, they've been able to achieve the stability of a large business with the speed and the agility of a small business. So just another example that what I'm talking about here is not just restrictive to retailers who are trying to change or adapt, but also those who are entering the market and just want to grow.
Great, thanks very much, Patrick. It's been a fascinating and insightful discussion there. And that actually very well cues to our next session. But before that, I do see a few of you just came in. So we had a nice round of introductions around this long table this morning. So for those of you who've just come in, would you please press the mic right in front and introduce yourself so that we know that you're here and everyone else has a sense of what your vision is for retail and what you feel about this conference.
My name is Saeed Al-Falasi, working at the Dubai Festival Retail Establishment. It's one of those small organizations within the government that looks very closely at the retail and try to encourage and work very closely with them. Obviously, one of our main projects, our main events, is the Dubai Shopping Festival, something that we hold very proudly, and soon we will be celebrating. I guess as one of the sessions a little bit on is on DSF, which I'm going to give you more insight into what we're doing as a government.
And we'll be hearing from him in more detail a little later on. Anyone else who came through and would like to just quickly introduce themselves? Yes, right there.
Hello, my name is Ronaldo Mouchouar. I'm the founder of Souk.com. Clearly, we believe in the internet, so that's why we established a company. I think things are turning out to be right. You see mobile and internet penetration growing phenomenally. I was just looking at Egypt, 50 million connected people in Egypt this year. So clearly, it's a great transport and a connectivity opportunity for all of us. We also believe that the internet should be open. So fundamental difference has been that it's a marketplace. It allows everyone else to join. We work with brands, retailers, distributors, and we provide all the services needed for them to be successful on the internet, be it on Souk, and sometimes when it's strategic partnerships, we do it on their own platforms as well, but using the same technology. We've adapted everything to the region, so online payments, logistics, cataloging, search, marketing, the whole stack is available for anyone to use. In the next 2 months, we will publish an open API that anyone can use for free if they want to. Our fees are, in terms of selling on Souk, are very modest, and this will, I think, change quite a bit the landscape in terms of whoever wants to build an e-commerce platform can just join. What I see is that there are 3 or 4 global players. They're coming to the region. We either work together and build a defendable business in this region, or as we see in many countries, and India is a great example, where you have now Amazon just becomes really difficult and a very competitive landscape for all of us to operate because of their global sourcing and a lot of the data sciences that they use that are quite advanced. So I think this is, for me, this is the only great opportunity in terms of meeting all of you and figuring out how we kind of build a region for us with the local brands and figure how to make that defendable for everyone. Thank you.
You said it. You're at the right place at the right time. Our next special guest, and this talk is just sort of taking the discussion of the morning forward. What mobility means to retailers around the world. How RFID supports mobility and omni-channel with specific case studies. We've got a presentation by Mark Thompson, Retail Industry Director, EMEA at Zebra Technologies. Now, a little bit about Mark. As Director of Retail Industry Solutions at Motorola, he works pretty closely with retailers and with hospitality providers to bring them inputs on how to face the challenge of a new retail landscape. I think that's something that we're discussing here right through the morning, and that continues. He has 22 years of customer-focused experience, and he's developed in-depth knowledge of the region, retail market, and regularly speaks at industry events through the EMEA. Thanks very much, Mark. The stage is yours.
Thanks very much. And I must join with everyone else in saying it's a pleasure to be here. It's great to be at these types of conferences and events. And one thing it shows me every time is that nobody's got it right yet, because the questions keep arising. And the nice thing about that is that we often get scared and we go to trade shows and we look at lots of glitzy trade show booths about what people are doing with John Lewis and Tesco and Walmart, etc. And so we think they must have it right. They must have got all these pieces sorted out. They haven't. Yes, there are things in the press where they highlight some of the things that they're doing. So the Tesco Watford store, which is pretty much a flagship store for Tesco, where they have put a lot of technology in. But you look at the vast majority of Tesco stores, and that same technology is not there yet. Because what's highlighted in the media is what people are actually testing and trialing. And there's nothing wrong with that, because actually we should be testing and trialing a lot more than we currently do. Historically, the IT teams and IT departments have been focused mainly on supporting. Most of the budget has been about supporting the IT that's in the retail business. But actually, historically, the only real piece of IT that's been in the retail business is the checkout. And actually now, we're moving to a situation where Gartner says that next year, there'll be a bigger IT spend in retail in the marketing team than there will be in the IT team. That's pretty scary for most IT people, giving power and control over. But actually what we're seeing is CRM, loyalty programs, customer engagement strategies, which are often controlled by the marketing teams, coming into the store and into the e-commerce side. So we're seeing a lot of change. The pace of change, as Pat was talking about, is so fast now that it is very, very difficult to keep pace. What does that create? It creates a lot of questions about where do I start? What's the first thing I should do? If I'm building this vision of this sort of omni-channel view of my business, what do I start with? Is it a website? Is it bringing in a multi-channel or omni-channel director to head it up? The trouble I've seen with a lot of those is when retailers appoint an omni-channel director or a head of multi-channel, frequently those people sit in the e-commerce team. But by its very nature, if we're actually trying to create an omni-channel view, surely that person should have not necessarily control, but vision and inspiration, and be able to affect all of the channels that you operate in, because they're the channels that the customer is looking to buy from. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about, I guess, omnichannel, but look at it from a mobility perspective. And I'll try and define what we actually mean by mobility. We all know there's a lot of mega trends. Everyone refers to these, so the Internet of Things. So basically being able to track and trace everything, whether it's a product, whether it's an asset in the business, whether it's the staff in the business, and we can even include in that customers as they come through our business, whether it's online, tracking them through cookies and other tools, or even in the store, and the ability to be able to track them and trace them through the store. Traditionally, the most we've been able to do that is through a standard loyalty program, so we know if they've bought something. But actually now, as Pat was talking about, we have the ability through wireless technologies, through phone carrier services outside the store, but also then through Bluetooth and wireless in the store, to be able to track and trace those customers as they come through the store. Where do they dwell? What do they look at? And then add that into the POS information. What do they then buy? But equally important, what do they not buy? Do they walk out of the store without purchasing? And how can we save some of those sales? So Internet of Things are all about tracking and tracing and giving everything in our business a digital voice, and then being able to manage, understand, analyze that, and then to be able to act on that, giving that information to the right people. Because it's all very well we talk about big data, but big data by itself has no value. It's not until we analyze that data and then we take that data and distribute it to the right people in the business to allow them to actually act on it, because it's the actions that they take that create the value in our business. So we have to go through that whole process. Other mega trends, we talked about cloud. Even in Western Europe, I'm still not seeing cloud taking off as much as the media would have you believe, because retailers in particular don't trust it yet. They want to have servers in stores still. So you go to the back of a store, you still see a comms cupboard with lots of different appliances and servers. So cloud is coming. Cloud services and being able to operate over the cloud will come, but it's not there yet. And then finally, mobility. As I said at the beginning in the introduction, I see mobility in at least two ways. Mobility in terms of customers, in terms of us walking around with our mobile phones, whether it's phones, tablets, or even laptops, they're all a matter of us being mobile. And mobile is not just about the device itself, it's about the fact that I move around. I can be where I want to be. I can shop the way I want to shop, when I want to shop, how I want to shop. The challenge there, from a retail perspective, is you just need to actually provide the ability for me to do that. So customer centricity is probably a better term than omnichannel, because omnichannel makes us look at channels and optimize those channels. Whereas if we actually rethink our business, focusing on the customer, who is mobile, then the customer is the center of our universe, and we look at operating our business to suit them. The other side of mobility is the retail business itself. The staff that are working in our business that are costing us a lot of money, but are there as one of our biggest assets as well. How can we add mobility to them so that in the store, they're not just doing operational tasks, they're actually available to serve customers the way they used to be in retail, to recognize customers when they come into the store, to be able to answer the customer questions. Because Wasim said earlier, your customers are coming into your stores and they've done their research in advance, whether it's on your app, whether it's on your website, or whether it's on a third-party website, but they're coming in already having done their research. The trouble with that is your staff don't have access to mobile devices. Your staff probably haven't had as much training as they could have. Your staff may be temporary staff or part-time staff, and maybe they can't answer the questions that the customer has. How much is it? Do you have it in stock? When is it next coming in? And okay, those members of staff can take those customers to a point of sale desk, and probably find out the answers to some of those questions from a fixed point. But actually, surely it's better to answer the questions straight in front of the customer. Mobile technology can help there as well. And you'll note, I'm not purporting to recommend any single piece of mobile technology, because it's not about the item itself, it's not about the device. It's about the concept of understanding that we need to provide a little bit of technology into the hands of our staff, because they are hugely valuable, to answer those questions about products. So I'll talk about that as we go through. So mobility, connecting with shoppers, the ability for recognizing that shoppers are mobile, enabling our associates, our sales staff, because we actually want them to be sales staff. We don't want them to be just stocking shelves. So they're back to being sales assistants. But by the way, if we give them the technology so that they can do their job better and faster, it frees up their time so they can spend more time working with customers. Oh, and by the way, everyone says men can't multitask, but we heard earlier that we're all sitting there watching TV, using our mobile phones, and probably having our iPads on as well. So we are multitasking. I'm seeing people shake their heads, but it's the ladies that are shaking their heads. But we do multitask, and we should rely on our staff to multitask a bit as well. Because traditionally what we've done is we've given staff a heavy device with lots of buttons on it, and okay, a lot of those devices are Motorola devices. But actually, why don't we give them devices so that very quickly they can move from inventory management to answering customer questions, using the same device in exactly the same way as they would use their phone at home. Because what we tend to do with staff is they come to the store, they've got their phone, and we ask them to put it in their locker and then go onto the shop floor. So we don't give them the trust in the technology that they actually need. And it might be a phone, but ideally it would be a device that's more rugged, that's got a full lifespan for a shift, that we can track and trace around the building, that has the right applications loaded on it, that is secure for the retail environment, that roams around the access points in that retail store. So the right technology to do the job, and the right infrastructure to empower IT, whether it's sensor technology, whether it's wireless access points, whether it's RFID, all of that supports mobility. And I've talked a bit about omnichannel already, and Wasim talked before about how many touch points are there just on your website. But those touch points are not restricted to websites. They're across all social sites, websites, not some of them that you own as retailers, some of them you don't own. So you can't actually control the customer's journey anymore across any of these. But what you can control is your consistency to that customer. So don't have different price promises, for example, online to in-store. Because if I go and buy something electrical, whether it's a kettle or an iron, in a store, and I'm looking at the prices, and I check your website, and I'm in your store, and I find that it's cheaper on your own website, that seems a bit strange to me as a customer, and suddenly I start to lose trust and faith with you as a retailer. So consistency across all of those platforms, especially when it comes to omnichannel or customer centricity, because moving to omnichannel, you're looking at ways of me being able to sit at home and order that product, not just for home delivery, but for click and collect, so I can collect it in the store. Well, it would seem a bit strange if I can order it from home at one price to collect it in store, and yet in store it's actually a different price. So consistency is key, and actually will help you make that journey through to omnichannel to deliver customer centricity. So let's talk a little bit about the mobile customer, and Pat mentioned this a moment ago. The ability to move forward from traditional loyalty whereby a piece of plastic card allows me to come in and shop in your store, and then when I'm about to buy something, you say, are you a member of our loyalty program? And we swipe that card at the checkout. That's great, that system works fine, apart from the fact that it's at the end of the process. And you're only recognizing me if I've actually bought something. Why don't we bring that forward? Why don't we change that whole concept that says, actually, you're a loyal customer, whether you buy something or not. Every time you come to the store, we can recognize your loyalty. I might go to a store once a month to see what's in, to see what's new, to see what offers you have in. But this month I might not buy anything because either I didn't like the offers or you didn't have the product in my size. Now, is that me being less loyal? No, I'm still loyal. And in fact, your marketing teams would love to have the information that says, Mark came to that store and on this occasion, he didn't buy anything. Because what would you do with that information? Especially if you knew where I went to in store and what products I looked at. And as Pat says, that's the sort of information that you can get through the websites. It's now the sort of information that you can get through mobile technologies and wireless networks and Bluetooth in your stores. So the ability to recognize customers as they come into the store, so we call that presence. And if you want, it becomes up to you. Whether you send them a message or not, that's up to you. Because yes, we don't want people bombarded. As customers, we don't want to be bombarded with offers and messaging all the time. So it's appropriate messaging and appropriate offers. So there's 3 stages of, I guess, location-based solutions or location-based loyalty. First of all, it's presence. Am I in the store and have I left the store? That gives us great information anyway, because it shows how long it took me to get around the store and how long I spent in the store. And if you tie that into the POS information, how much I spent for that journey time. We can also look at zoning, so which areas do I go to in store? So I can set up a men's department, ladies department, children's wear, etc. So I now know how long this customer, first of all, came into the store, and then which way they went around the store, how long they spent in each zone. And then we take it to the next level of the Bluetooth technology, the iBeacons, as you'll have seen, which have exploded in the US. So lots of people now using Bluetooth technology to be able to recognize that customer within a meter. So the fact that that customer is now standing in front of these very expensive TVs. And if I can do that, and I can see that that customer has spent 15, 20, 30 seconds in front of those TVs, now the challenge is for your marketing teams, what do you want to do with that information? Do you want to send them a message on their mobile phone? Is that going to change their activity? Maybe better still, if I can send a message to a member of staff to say that Mark Thompson is now standing in front of the TVs and go and speak to him, that might give us a much better return on investment. But the choice is yours as retailers. The information is there, it's provided by the technology. The technology is the enabler. The technology doesn't provide all the answers. That's for you to deal with your customers. But try different things. There's a real system or process happening in retail at the moment, which is fail fast, succeed faster. And we're seeing a lot of retailers try a lot of technologies at the same time in different locations to see which ones work. A lot more than they ever tried before, because they were very cautious before. And we have Lowe's in the US that set up Lowe's Labs, that's developed a hologram room, but also they've developed and have implemented now Lowe's robots. So Lowe's is a hardware store, and what they've got is these robots, effectively with kiosk screens in front of them, and you can see it on YouTube. We talked about YouTube earlier. Have a look at YouTube and look at Lowe's robots. And what happens is these robots come up to you as you come into the store. It's a bit scary. They greet you. They ask you what you're looking for. If you're looking for a nail, you can show the camera on the robot the nail, and it will recognize from its product catalog that nail, and it'll say, I know what you're looking for, I'll take you there. And the robot leads you around to take you there. Now, that's more important than it sounds. We worked with one of the hardware stores in the US because they had a problem in their minds, because only 1 in 3 of their customers was actually buying something when they went to store. So 2 in 3 were not. They were walking out without any bags. So we did some research of those people coming out of the store and found out why they were leaving. The main reason was that they couldn't find the product. Because you think about a hardware store, there's a lot of different products. Do I know where every single product is? No. And they couldn't find a member of staff to help them. So 44% of the customers who were leaving with empty bags said they would have bought if they could have just found a product. So these robots are helping solve that. But it might be a simpler solution, simply a screen that allows us to touch the screen at the beginning of the shopping visit to say, this is what I'm looking for, where do I find it? So different ways to solve some of those basic problems. And I said that staff are a key part of this, because if we really are going to drive our omni-channel and customer engagement process forward, staff have got to lead that. It might be that we train our staff differently. It might be that we provide technology to our staff. I talked about sending a message to a member of staff to say, go and help Mark Thompson because he's standing in front of the expensive TVs. We have to think, how do I get that message to a member of staff? So therefore we need to provide, whether it's phones, whether it's smart badges, whether it's ruggedized devices, to our staff to be able to facilitate them doing their normal job, but also send them messages and manage tasks as they go through the day. And then we talk about eliminating the questions, because there's a number of different aspects to omnichannel. We talk about click and collect. So the ability for me to order something online and go and collect it from a store. Well, in most fashion stores, what happens is, if I order online, maybe it's a jacket, and I want to go and collect it from a store, what actually happens is that jacket is from the warehouse as a single and sent to the store. Why? Because we don't have enough faith in our stock counting process in the stores to recognize whether or not we actually do have that jacket in that size in that particular store. And what we certainly don't want is an unhappy customer. So technology such as RFID is allowing retailers not only to do one stock count a year, but to do a stock count every week or even more often than that. The reason we do one stock count a year is because either we have to close the store or it's an overnight process. We pay our staff double, we buy them pizzas to keep them happy. And even then, we probably get between 70 and 80% accuracy. So even then, we can't trust it. So because of that, we've got an expensive process to facilitate click and collect. We ship from the warehouse. RFID technology allows us to understand exactly what's in store at any one point in time, and therefore we can fulfill from store. It also means that whenever a customer asks a question, as they're in store, do you have that in stock? And I look it up on the system, I am 100% sure that we do or we don't. But I can also see whether we've got it in stock in another store or in the warehouse, because I've got that real-time information that Pat talked about. And that allows me then to serve that customer by saying, I know it's in stock in another store, I can have it brought here, or you can go to that store, or I can have it delivered to your home. Which would you prefer? Now I've never lost that sale. So a couple of things about how we facilitate answering some of those questions. An example of Best Buy in Canada, one of the things they do is managing their omni-channel experience in store by giving all of their staff devices. Their biggest competitor, not surprisingly, is Amazon. And they knew that people were coming into their store to look at electronics products, asking questions of the staff, and then going and buying it on Amazon or some other website. So Best Buy Canada said, the only way we can deal with that is to give our staff technology to allow them to upsell, cross-sell other products, but also as part of exactly the same program that they're able to now stand in front of customers and say, this is how much this product is currently on Amazon. So we will match that price for you. You take away, it's aggressive, but you take away the fear factor of customers thinking, I'm going to get a bargain if I go back and buy it online. So customers can now buy it now at the same price they would get it on Amazon. And what we've seen at Best Buy Canada is they've increased their basket size by 100%. Now the next thing I'm going to show is a video about RFID and how RFID, even though really we think about it as a stock counting and inventory management process, but actually it affects the whole omni-channel concept. It's about customers knowing what's in stock. It's about staff knowing what's in stock. It's about delivering better experiences for customers. So I'm going to show you a bit about Zara, part of the Inditex group, but equally it could be a video from Jerry Weber or from Burberry, from Walmart, from Macy's, all of whom have implemented RFID on their clothing ranges. So let's have a look at this video. Can we up the volume? So you saw there how Zara are doing things, and that is a Zara video. It's not produced by a technology company. It's Zara's pride in the fact that technology is working for them to deliver a better experience for their customers. So I talked a little bit about this before. It's about sensing, it's about data capture, real time. It's about analyzing that information and then being able to give it to the right people to act on it, again, in real time. And there's lots of different technologies behind that many of the companies here will be able to help you with, and certainly we're able to have that discussion. But it's a journey, it's not a destination. There is no one retailer that you can look at and go, they've got it right. So it's about understanding your customers, the direction that your customers want to take, and how you want to engage with your customers in the future. Mobility is about convenience, but above all, it's about experience, and it's about my choice as a customer to shop the way I would like to shop. And as a retailer, the challenge is, how do we facilitate that across all of our channels? So with that, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mark. The video certainly got us awake once again. This was a fantastic discussion, especially at a time that we felt that it was so much technology in our head, and then you made it so simple by putting that video out. Thank you very much. This sort of it does bring to close the three interesting sessions we've had, 3 pillars of retail as discussed. But we could certainly get more questions on this, given that Mark just presented a very detailed idea of how you can go beyond basic loyalty plastic cards and actually use technology to make it just a great experience for all your customers. Questions and perhaps even experiences from many of you sitting here. Questions here? Yeah. Okay, we'll just start with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, with every day thousands of people getting into mobile apps and entering into the e-commerce space, who's going to take the lead? Because for a consumer, you can only see one company at a time.
It's a great question, because most mobile apps are designed and have been designed so that I have to sit here and then I open an app and I'm sitting in a Starbucks cafe or wherever I'm sitting, and I start to look through those apps. I think there's a change in retail that we're seeing, both in the US, UK in particular, where those apps are going to be part of my shopping process much more when I'm in the store. So when I go online, and I'm sitting at home and I'm using my iPad or my laptop, I can do all sorts of things on there, and I can add products to my favorites list, etc. Why can't I do that in store? So why can't an app be there as part of my shopping process? So I can scan products, I can either buy them or add them to my wish list. I can maybe share that wish list with other people. Maybe I can scan a product and find out what the reviews of that product are like while I'm in store. And we're seeing a lot more of that type of use of apps. So
experiential apps as part of the shopping process. Because at the end of the day, we saw the figures earlier, something like 90% or so, and this is UK figures, of purchases still happen in a store. And yet we spend all this time focusing and worrying about the online piece. And yes, that's where growth is, but still 20% growth on 10% is very small compared to any growth on the 90%. So we need to focus on our whole business and how we create omnichannel or those value experiences across those, and use the online piece in store as well. Stores have huge advantages. They are physical beasts. We have customers there and we have staff there. They can interact with each other. I can touch, see and feel products, and I can ask questions about them. Let's take advantage of that, but let's use technology to enhance it. So apps, I think, are part of that.
That's great. So the question right here, Furi.
Hi. A lot of these applications, I would say, are for medium to large companies, and probably more focused on retail than I would say F&B, food and beverage. What would you say is the new next thing for the restaurants to use to enhance the experience, to increase sales? We do have the typical point of sale system, we have the stock take system, we have loyalty, we have Instagram, Facebook, but what would be the next thing to use to really increase business or improve our business?
So we're seeing a lot of changes in the hospitality area, particularly fast food restaurants. And we're seeing Bluetooth technology coming in there. So, for example, at a fast food hamburger chain, they're looking at, they've already got drive-thrus, and even that's not fast enough. So can they then take pre-orders? So I can pre-order on my phone or on my tablet, and already it recognizes me as I get to the first order point so that I'm served when I get to the second order point. So that's already in process. Or I park at a bay in the car park, and those bays have the Bluetooth beacons. They recognize me and my car, and that order is brought to me without me doing anything else. So we're seeing that. We're also seeing order taking with staff using devices to speed things up. That order goes straight to the kitchen from the device. All that device in the hands of the staff also gets informed when that order is ready. So that member of staff stays out on the floor, able to serve customers again and again, so we can turn tables and serve customers even faster. So there's a lot of things happening. One of the fundamentals there that is not quite there yet is the wireless network for everybody, and making sure that we have a strong, sturdy wireless network so that those applications work well every single time. Thank you.
There's a question here from Amitabh.
So I have a question for both of you, I think Patrick and Mark. The question is really a question for this region. So I've seen just 4 years that most of the retail companies here are family owned. They're basically licensees, franchisees, distributors. And I was talking to a friend and I said, even if this owner-driven company, the owner had studied in Harvard, Stanford, or one of the best B schools, and had started this business 20 years back, he's not going to be as savvy about technology the way the young guys are. And I seriously believe the biggest hindrance in retail adapting to technology is the awareness about technology, the simplicity about technology, and their knowledge about technology. How do you, and somewhere I asked this to you earlier, which was about how do you get this owner-driven companies to start looking at technology simply in a simple way, which is very important, I see, and because most of the retail is traditional, they are owner-driven, it's gut-driven, although in US it's very professional, but somewhere most of the region it's very gut and owner-driven. How do you face that?
So let me sort of take that in two parts. It's a pretty profound question, has a lot of implications. First, if you just take a look at this omni-commerce, this omni-channel, this is about having a single view of a customer across all channels because they're largely mobile, they don't think about channels, but it's a consistent experience, and what the business then needs to do is be able to bring their operations to execute on that transaction where the customer wants it. If you just take a look at how challenging that is for retailers to execute today, bring that over to this market, right, to this region.
where you actually have conglomerates, family-owned businesses, where retail is a part of the business. And you actually have customers that aren't just navigating channels, they're navigating brands. They may not even know that. So that's either a problem or an opportunity. I think, so the first part of my question is, if you just take a look at that setting, what really impresses me, having worked in this region for the past 3 years, as it relates to retail, and this is what I think a lot of the other countries have forgotten, is retail is fun. It's an experience. That's never been lost on retailers in this region, right? And if you just look at the brand penetration in this region, it's the second in the world. So I think there's a chance to capitalize on that type of a love of retailing and understanding what retailing means and the culture of retailing in this region. Now, in a lot of these industry or a lot of these businesses, you're a distributor. So you may not even have the ability to implement a lot of the technology decisions or a lot of the innovations we're talking about. But that still leaves retailers in this region with an understanding that what they do control, they absolutely control, is the customer experience. So that's one point. On the simplicity, we have overcomplicated this just in our messaging because we talk technology. What we want to do, and this is why you've encouraged us in our presentations, to talk about examples, right? Presentations, the emotion of retailing. We need to make technology consumable because it is just something I heard I want, give it to me. So we don't try to use cloud, we don't try to use platform too much. It's, here's a problem you have about connecting with your customers. Here's something you can do with the solution, and you can get it from this marketplace deployed in this environment, and you don't need the expertise. So you don't need the IT expertise, you don't need to go to a million conferences to figure out what's the cool technology. It's, here's my business, here's my problem, where do I go to find solutions to my problem, and how can I just implement it? That's what we need to get to.
Mark, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's a matter of stepping back. And I think technology companies like ourselves have been guilty in the past of designing, developing something new and coming to the retailers and say, hey, have a look at this. Well, that doesn't work anymore. And it certainly doesn't work for the owners of businesses, even the CIOs of businesses, because they really, a CIO is no longer a chief information officer. They're the chief innovation officer. They've got to bring all the different parts of the business together to sort out the challenges that the marketing team have, that the merchandising team have, that supply chain and logistics have. So it's actually about stepping back, as Pat says, and looking at what are the challenges your business is facing. And then we can talk about how do you see that looking? What's the ideal? What's the nirvana in terms of what that should look like? And then we ask the question, can technology help? Because technology is not the answer in itself. Technology is just a part of the solution. A lot of this that we talk about, omnichannel, a lot of it is down to processes and changing our mindset about the way our business operates and the way our teams work together. Because, as I said before about technology budgets now sitting in all different departments, including marketing, well, that means marketing and IT have to work very closely together. We had problems in the past with marketing teams coming up with, hey, we've got a new loyalty program, we're doing it on the mobile phone. And when it comes up with a barcode on the mobile phone, which is great, but if they don't talk to the IT team to make sure that the scanners at the point of sale will actually scan that barcode off the mobile phone, the whole experience for the customer falls through the floor. And actually the transactions take even longer. So it's the whole business now working together a lot closer, and it's not about, certainly at CEO level, it's not about what is the technology, it's about what are the challenges. The technology companies can help answer that, but it's a different question.
Well, it was very well put that technology is not an end in itself, it's actually the means to an end, that, you know, your goal. Thanks very much, Mark. Brilliant presentation. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to just once again remind everyone here about what lies ahead for the rest of your day. It's only half done, and there's an equally exciting rest of the day waiting for you, including some specific sessions that culminate into the awards evening and the cocktails, which is the Middle East Retail Forum 2014 awards in the evening here at the venue. A bit of a wrap-up of how we've seen today play out. It's actually been fascinating because the three discussions that we saw through the presentations of Wasim, Pat, and Mark, they seem to have brought together the very theme of this forum today, which was to focus on technology and at the same time look at all the soft aspects of it, because retail at the end of the day is about reaching out to a consumer, and consumers don't always want to understand things in numbers. They want to touch, feel, and experience. So how to bring the two ideas together? Wasim talked about see, think, do, care, and the idea of experience while being online and making sure you don't lose sight of those soft aspects. And I think Pat very nicely put that entire toss-up between how much to disrupt in terms of looking at opportunities and what kind of risks to actually engage with. How to do that data analysis by finding a fine balance of the two and not missing out opportunities while not taking too much risk either. Mark, the way he put it in terms of using technology, as we just heard, and as we saw in the case of Zara, was to really make devices people-friendly and make technology people-friendly so that they don't want to sort of run away from it. And similarly, not have businesses think that it's a barrier, but actually a medium to break barriers with your customers and consumers. So in one way, it sort of brings it into a full circle from where we started. We all heard from you in your introductory remarks the challenges that you face, particularly with respect to MENA, and the fact that this market is potentially set to go from $1 billion to 10 billion, if not in 5, then 3 years. Then how does one engage with the idea of the new consumer and, more importantly, the newfangled retail organization? We do hope you had a good chance at understanding some of those challenges and perhaps find solutions in the presentations and your own interactions today. Importantly, we continue to hope that the rest of today and tomorrow will be spent in more interaction, more collaboration, and more discussion to get much more out of your business and every piece of investment. The next two pieces this afternoon before we hit lunch, one is going to be a perspective from a gentleman who just joined us, Saeed Mohammed Al-Falasi, to talk about Dubai retail. How does Dubai do it, the big festivals, and how they are moving to the next generation of technology and making sure the consumers keep coming back into this global forum. And I'll also give the stage to Amitabh to take a couple of minutes to conclude how the inaugural retail business owners and CEOs conclave kicked off today and what it has meant for this audience, this closed user group, in terms of their perspectives on going forward. So Mr. Falasi, it's over to you. We're going to have you speak for 10 minutes, followed up with Amitabh, give us some perspective before we all head for lunch.
Hello, everybody. Obviously, it's really a pleasure to be here. And I think this is one of those occasions that really, it's a great platform that not only brings retailers, but brings some of the shopping malls, as well as government, as well as solution providers all together to talk and discuss on how we can take retail further. Now, obviously, I had a presentation to tell you more about the Dubai Shopping Festival, but I wanted to be more specific into what is DSF and what it means to you as a retailer, and what is the government is doing, just to keep you engaged rather than take you through some of the boring aspects of the Dubai Shopping Festival. I hope it's not that boring for the rest of us, but I think a lot of us has been here for over 20 years engaging with the Dubai Shopping Festival from day one. Well, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Saeed Al-Falasi. I look after the Strategic Alliance Department at the Dubai Festival and Retail Establishment. I have my colleague is here, Mr. Andrew. If you just, there, he waved, I guess that's it. So Andrew have also recently joined us as a senior advisor for the retail sector for the Dubai retail establishment. Now, on this side of the room, how many people have been here from day one for DSF or for the Dubai Shopping Festival? So we have a couple of hands. So only 4. So what are the chances that any of you 4 have won something during the shopping festival? None? Have you participated? Have you bought a ticket? Should we say that the next year is going to be your year? We hope so, right? Inshallah. So we're going to be celebrating the 20th edition now. From where DSF have started with only a couple of malls in Dubai and a couple of outlets participating with us all the way till now. Now we have the huge, great shopping malls, and we're becoming the second after London in terms of number of brands in Dubai. So there's a lot of things that we can write on and definitely be happy about. So we are, as an organization, the festival and retail establishment. We've been working very closely with different retailers and sectors to enhance the experience in Dubai. Right now, we are quite busy actually working on back-to-back festivals. So we have next month the Dubai Motor Festival. After that, we have the Dubai Shopping Festival, followed by the Dubai Food Festival. So as you can see, we are targeting different sectors back-to-back, and we hope that from a government point of view that we can encourage all the retailers as well as the business owner to interact with us and really take advantage of every festival that we bring along. Now, DSF has always been important to the city. Now, if we look at just numbers, now the number of people, for example, the number of tourists that arrived to Dubai last year, it almost reached 10 million. Now, at least a third of those visitors or tourists that came to Dubai came in January alone. This is how January and DSF plays a big role. Now, in terms of spend, last January, we had approximately 15 billion dirham spent in 1 month. And you're talking about different transactions on credit cards. Still, I'm sure a lot of the cash transactions still not accounted for. But if you look at the number on the daily spend in Dubai city per day during January, it's quite a lot of money. And a big chunk out of that is going to retailers and the hospitality sector. This is how important by numbers is the DSF to the city of Dubai. So what is DSF have obviously evolved from day one till now, being the 20th edition. DSF has always been, for those that have been here for the longest time, know that DSF started this all about offers and sales and discounts. A lot of people, when they think about DSF, they only think about sales and offers. As Dubai have progressed during the last couple of years, we as an organization have also changed and progressed. So our vision for DSF for the following years is not only to focus on retail and offers, but also to enhance the experience that retailers can provide all the tourists and residents at the same time. Now, I believe that one of the sessions happening tomorrow is all about experimental shopping, how to make your brand a little bit shine differently than the other brands. Now, this sort of interaction or experience sharing is what is important to the city. Now, a lot of the tourists, when they come to the city, they say, well, Dubai is not really the cheapest when it comes to shopping. Well, we do realize that for so many different reasons. However, what is important for us is to keep engaging those customers in different means and ways, not only through sales and offers, but also through the experience that they can be engaged with within our shopping malls. Now, obviously, the lady here from Novo Cinemas is obviously a big attraction in our festivals. We spend a lot of money when it comes to marketing Dubai City, not only internationally but also regionally. So a lot of the Saudis that we get to come to Dubai, we engage them through our different festivals and the activities within. Obviously, movie theaters is something really being sought out by our Saudi tourists. And if you go to a movie theater in Dubai, it's completely different than anywhere else in the Gulf. That sort of experience that we are seeing nowadays in different movie theaters is the same experience that we would like to see in different shopping malls as well, and on a retailer level. So what have we been doing as a government to engage different levels of or different sectors within the retail? We've been spending perhaps the last 4 or 5 months talking to different retailers and how to enhance that experience when it comes to shopping. We've highlighted how important DSF, being the 20th edition, important to Dubai. We've managed to come up with different ideas in terms of activation, in terms of sales, in terms of offers. What is the 20th edition? Now, a lot of people came with crazy ideas, nice ideas as well, on what offers can they have in their outlets to highlight the 20th edition. Some are giving away 20 giveaways, some are giving prizes to 20 winners. I did not hear anybody say that they're gonna give away 20 planes, but hopefully those will be some of those things that we can see next year. So we've been engaging with all the shopping malls, whether it's a small mall or it's a larger mall. We've been exciting them about the DSF and how they can engage with it in different levels. We've requested from all the shopping malls to not only have sale or offer or a promotion during DSF, but also to engage with retailers, provide spaces for retailers where retailers can come out of their shop and actually provide some of the experience that they offer within their outlets. We've requested that they have events as well within the shopping malls. So as you can see, when we talk to the shopping malls, we talk about different things. We talk about events, we're talking about retail promotion, we're talking about decoration for the DSF. It's those sort of elements that provide seamless experience for tourists when they come to the city. And from a government point of view, like mentioned earlier, we're really spending a lot of time targeting different markets across the world. So we're not only focusing on the GCC to market Dubai as a retail destination, but we're spending a lot of time going to Germany, going to the UK, going to Russia, going to China. These are some of our source markets, and we've been targeting them quite heavily actually to attract as many people as we can. And we've been working with various partners that we have, including Visa and MasterCard, because we realize those international brands have that reach all the way to those countries, and we can attract more people to come to Dubai. And when it comes to digital, obviously we're launching a new digital strategy for Dubai City. As part of Dubai Vision for the 2020, we're not only focusing on festivals, but we're also focusing in enhancing Dubai to be a family destination, as well as enhancing the business and event sector in Dubai. Now, festival is our bit, is our responsibilities, and we're being told this is our KPI for the city. When we meet His Highness, we need to show up with KPIs and numbers. How many retailers we have in the city? How are they achieving their target? Are they expanding? Those all are very important to us. So we've been working very closely, as DFRE is now part of the Dubai Tourism, we've been working very closely in creating a digital platform that can provide all the tourists with one point of information, so that once they reach Dubai, they can not only find locations that are an interest of them, for example, hotels, a museum, where the beach is, but we are also working very closely with them to load this application with point of interest for all the retail outlets as well as the shopping malls. So if somebody looking for a specific outlet, he just writes the name and he finds exactly where that location is. This is just to minimize the time a tourist is spending looking out for spaces and really get him from the airport to the hotel to the shopping malls. Can you guys agree with that? Not at all? So we're trying to provide that really experience, just hitting the airport and knowing exactly where to go and what are those outlets are providing in terms of offers and sales. So this is in a nutshell what we're doing as a government to really enhance the experience not only for residents but also for tourists. I tried to make it really quick because I understand that a lot of people would like to have some lunch at some point of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Falasi. It's a pleasure, and thank you very much. Also appreciate your saying that you'd like to keep it short. I know everyone's going to head to lunch soon. Amitabh, it's over to you before everyone heads out.
Thank you.
I'm not going to speak a lot, but just before we head for lunch, the whole idea of this CEO's Conclave, Owners Conclave, was to really get all of you together and make you start thinking. The retail world is changing. We need to at least start thinking about it and thinking seriously about it. I don't have much to say, but I have just few videos which I thought they speak better than words. So if you could play the videos. I don't know if you've gone through the agenda and you've read through the agenda. The agenda has been designed keeping all this in mind, from retail design to marketing to consumers to the future of shopping centers. We've covered almost every aspect which will change the way technology is shaping retail businesses. So even if you don't attend any session, please at least look at the agenda and see what are the subjects. Thank you. So just few videos you must see. Just few more videos.
South Korea is a unique market. Tesco has been evolving itself, adjusting to the local market. It even changed the name itself from Tesco to Home Plus. And at last, it grew to rank number 2 in Korea. But Tesco had to overcome one obstacle, a fewer number of stores compared to the number 1 company, E-Mart. Mission: could we become number 1 without increasing the number of stores? We made an in-depth study into Koreans once more. Koreans are the second most hardworking people in the world. For them, grocery shopping once a week is a dreaded task. So we decided to approach these busy and tired people. Idea: let the store come to the people. We created virtual stores, hoping to blend into people's everyday lives. Our first try was subway stations. Although virtual, the displays were exactly the same as actual stores, from the display to the merchandise. Only one thing was different. You use smartphones to shop. Scan the QR code with your phone and the product automatically lands in your online cart. When the online purchase is done, it will be delivered to your door right after you get home. People can relax more after work and on weekends.
실제로 보면서 사니까 진짜 더 좋은 것 같아요. 편하기도 하고.
Result: people can shop at Tesco Home Plus wherever they go without having to visit the actual store. Moreover, we could change their waiting time to shopping time. After this campaign, online sales increased tremendously. Through this campaign, 10,287 consumers visited the online Home Plus mall using smartphones. The number of new registered members rose by 76%, and online sales increased 130%. Currently, Home Plus has become number 1 in the online market and is a very close second offline.
Thank you very much. Have a great conference and please join us for lunch. Thank you.